was a big day in women's college basketball. Unfortunately, I was too lazy to get a video out last night. If I would have, it would have been an upset is coming because it was pretty clear between Notre Dame and NC State, LSU versus Kentucky, UCLA at Iowa. I thought one of those teams was going to get upset, and sure enough, it was NC State that got Notre Dame. Now, my plan in this video is just to highlight those main games as well. I'll look at South Carolina, who grinded down Vanderbilt, as well as North Carolina, who took Louisville. Brief touch on UConn in terms of Caroline Ducharme, as it appears. Well, it doesn't appear. I did get that run wrong, as I did not think she would be back this season. So anyway, before we start, if you enjoy the content, then please consider subscribing to the channel and giving the video a like. All right, first of all, NC State took down Notre Dame. I thought this would be close just when I looked at their core stats. So NC State can score on offense. It's pretty clear. That's my new resolution. I'm going to try to stop saying they can score the basketball. That's not grammarly correct, I don't think. So anyway, NC State can score. They average around 110 points per 100 possessions. I think Notre Dame slightly better, around 112. The big downfall for NC State when I looked at their games in ACC play is their defense, and on the road it's harder to score. I thought, if Notre Dame struggles to score and NC State has a good day, then you never know, and sure enough, that's what's happened. Notre Dame didn't play bad. I mean, they had the chance to win. They took it to double overtime and then went cold in double overtime. Miles and Hannah Hidalgo weren't their usual efficient selves. So Miles, 9 for 25 for 22 points, and she struggled from three, going 4 of 13. She had 5 turnovers. Same thing for Hannah Hidalgo. She went 8 for 26 for 26 points and was only 2 of 7 from three-point land. Citron was the most efficient and bailed them out and took it to overtime with that late three-pointer. She went for 23 points on 11 of 18 shooting. Overall, is this a big deal? I doubt it. Notre Dame still controls their fate as they only have one loss. They're 15-1, and they got Florida State and then Louisville left at home. NC State is 14-2, so even if they win out, they're still not going to win. Notre Dame, if Notre Dame wins out, which you think Notre Dame would, and then UNC is 13-3, and they have at Duke and Virginia left. Now, very doubtful North Carolina can win the division, obviously, but that was a big win over Louisville. They just really gritted it out. I think they were down by 12, and with Utsby out, they were able to hit their three-point shots. They outshot them, basically. Louisville struggled a bit on defense over the last 5 games. They have not been playing good defense, and I think it was reflected in this game. And overall, I don't trust Louisville with the lead and being able to close out. It seems like teams are never out of it against Louisville. Their offense can go a little bit stinky at times, but again, I just don't think their defense is quite as good as where it needs to be. Now let's move to the SEC. The game that I was keeping an eye on was LSU versus Kentucky. In the first half, Kentucky was on LSU. Everything was going right for them. This was highlighted by Georgia Amore doing a handball pass. If you don't know, AFL, which is Australian rules football. You make a pass by making a fist and hitting the bottom of the football. You can't do your traditional spiral pass that you would do in the NFL. And that was a classic one where she got it and she did like a handball of the ball to herself. She did a handball pass to herself. And then you got to see Mulkey's disdain on the sideline. You could tell she was not impressed by how LSU was playing. But to their credit, LSU got a timeout. They reeled them in before halftime. I think they got it down to about 12. And then in the third quarter, they just put the clamps on Kentucky. They really made Amore work hard to get the ball. Once she gave it up, they really denied it. And by the time she got the ball, she was usually exhausted. And they just out-physicaled Kentucky on the way home. Although I will say this, I was wondering how Kentucky would hold up to LSU on the boards, as in previous games they had been bludgeoned by Texas 45-28. Then Ole Miss got them as well, getting 54 rebounds to Kentucky's 33. But LSU, they held up pretty well, getting 39 rebounds to LSU's 47. So out-rebounded by 12. But overall, yeah, I think both teams could be happy with this game. Obviously, Kentucky wanted the victory, but how they were able to hold up a little bit against these elite opponents, I think it's been a good initial season for Kenny Brooks in the SEC. I think LSU, I think they proved something that when they were down by 16, that was my question with LSU. Could they claw back if they get really down? And that's a question I frankly have for Texas. If Texas gets down in a game, are they going to be able to claw their way back with their offense? So overall, a really, really good win for LSU. Like, they know who they are. They've got their core three. Smith is solid, and then Mulkey uses the bench of Poa and Gilbert and Miracle Shepard and just hoping for somebody to have a good day, essentially. But they know who they are, and they're going to be, obviously, they're in that Elite Eight for a tournament team that you don't want to be facing this team. Now, the other game I kept my eye on a bit was South Carolina Vanderbilt. I was curious, Vanderbilt's offense and how South Carolina's defense would go against them, because they can score as well. Another good recovery game for South Carolina, so they were locked in on defense. And normally, Vanderbilt just scores about just under 100 points per 100 possessions. And in this game, I think they kept them to 76 points, and they just crushed them on the boards. They just out-physicaled them. They were locked in. I think if you're a South Carolina fan, the thing that you've got to get excited about, at least I would, is Malaysia Fulwiley. She went for 24 points on 10 of 15 shooting. If you are a South Carolina fan, you are just hoping she gets on one of those rolls and can just ride out the season, and that she becomes the dominant alpha of this team. The other thing I note, like, Raven Johnson got 20 minutes. It's not a shot at Raven. She is a good point guard, but if this team is going anywhere, it is going to be driven by Fulwiley. The other one, Sanaya Fagan, she only got 13 minutes. She didn't play well versus UConn, and once again in this game, in the 13 minutes, she got 2 points and 3 rebounds, hence why you're seeing Marian Dowda get a little bit more time. She got 12 minutes. Joyce Edwards is their best forward, but Joyce Edwards is a freshman. She struggles a bit on offense, but overall she's having a really strong, obviously, freshman season. But as I said, if I'm a South Carolina fan, I am hoping Malaysia Fulwiley goes on a run. The final game or 2 games of this season and then on to the SEC and into the tournament, it looks like they're going to share the title, the SEC title, with Texas, because they're tied in their head-to-head. Well, they've both only lost 1 game, and then Texas has Georgia, Mississippi State, and Florida remaining. They're at Georgia and Mississippi State, so there could be a loss in that. South Carolina is at Ole Miss, which is a tough game, and then they will have Kentucky at home. You would expect both teams to win those, but the SEC is a gauntlet. Now let's move over to the Big Ten. UCLA at Iowa. That was always going to be probably a good game because Iowa can compete inside. They have Addison O'Grady inside that can match up at times with Betts. Betts still went off for a lot of points. So Betts went for 22 points on 9 of 12 shooting. The thing is, UCLA, it's that Iowa could compete a little bit better on the board. So UCLA, 43 rebounds to Iowa's 34, and then UCLA did not shoot the 3-ball well. They went 5 for 25, which was 20%, hence why it was such a close game. Credit to UCLA, they clawed themselves back and won the game 67-65, but you're starting to see that UCLA is beatable. Now, I hope UCLA can take care of business versus Wisconsin, because I want to see the rematch between UCLA and USC. USC took care of business versus the Illini. As I always say, if you're playing USC, you better keep them off the line. If they beat you in the free throw battle, then they're probably winning, and this game's no exception. As USC got to the line 18 times to the Illini, getting to the line 6 times, and that doesn't even mention Juju went 10 from 10 from the free throw line. Overall, she went 6 of 16 for 22 points. But really, this is all about, I want both these teams to, well, basically, USC's done until they play UCLA on Sunday. I want UCLA to beat Wisconsin and then see this rematch for all the marbles of the Pac-10. Now, lastly, the only thing with UConn is they got through injury-free, no injuries. And then speaking of injuries, right after I do the video where I say I think Caroline Ducharme is going to be shut down for the year, what do you know? She gets like 3 minutes at the end of the game. So I'm glad that I am wrong. I'm glad she did not take a headshot during that game. I wish her nothing but the best and pure health going to the end of the season. I don't think she'll have a real impact, but just that she's on the court and that she stays healthy is the most important thing, and that UConn stays healthy as well going into the tournament, because we want to see that as well. Now it's over to you for your comments and poison. I don't know, South Carolina fans will be irritated with me saying that I think they really need full Wiley to go off or not. But again, always your poison is welcome. Thanks a lot for watching. Have a great night.